Hello, listeners, and welcome very much to this podcast with myself, Sonia Clark, and a fabulous, fabulous leader in his area, being really a thought leader, but he's very got fabulous skills in and around quite a few of the fields, which I'll explain to you in just a moment. But welcome, Bob Burg.
Hello, Sonia. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome and thank you for joining us. So, listeners, let me tell you a little bit about Bob. He is well and truly, he's an entrepreneur. He's a keynote speaker, a podcast host, and an international best-selling author who has sold over 950,000 copies of his series of the Go Giver series, as well as the Wall Street Journal and Business Week. But his Go Giver series, it's got quite a few of them: the Go Giver Influencer, Go Giver Sell More, Go Giver Leader, Go Giver Teachers edition, and as well as some other books, endless referrals. So we're going to ask him quite a lot of questions in and around his Go Giver series, because I thought that it's so prevalent for you, particularly at the moment with the Go Giver, with the Go Giver series on the brain now, Bob. But particularly right now with this pandemic. But listeners, Bob has shared platforms with business leaders and broadcast personalities and even former US president, and has, by the AMA, has been named as one of the top 30 most influential leaders. And Rich Topia even said that he's up in the 200 of the most influential authors. So I highly recommend that you go out and purchase his series, and how that actually really can make a difference in our personal lives and professional lives. So, Bob, do you want to take it away? Give us a little bit of background about your story.
Well, I began in broadcasting, first in radio and then in television with a very small network affiliate in the Midwestern part of the United States. I wasn't very good at being a newscaster because I was very young and didn't really understand the news and didn't really care at the time. I wasn't really long in that business, but it was good in that I got to learn how video and television and broadcasting worked, which helped me more as a guest when I'd be promoting different books over the years.
Definitely.
And putting together different videos where I understand the production process. But really what happened is after that, I like to say I graduated into sales. And the problem I had at that time, Sonia, was I didn't know anything about sales on a formal level. I didn't know there was anything such as sales training or anything. And the company where I was working, their training was very negligible at best, meaning it was really non-existent. So I was on my own and I floundered for the first few months. Fortunately, and this is about 40 years ago now, so this is a while back, but I was in a bookstore and I picked up two books. One was by Zig Ziglar and the other by Tom Hopkins, two of the real well-known icons in sales. And I read and studied and I learned, and in a very short period of time, my sales began to really do well. But I had a system now. I had a methodology. And I think for anyone who's whether a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, a mompreneur, a dadpreneur, an anypreneur, I think key is to whatever it is you're looking to do is to learn a system, to discover, find a system. Because what is a system? It's the process of predictably achieving a goal based on a logical and specific set of how-to principles. The key being predictability. If it's been discovered that by doing A, you'll get the desired results of B, then all you need to do is A and continue to do A, and eventually you'll get the desired results of B. And that's what I did when it came to sales. So I started learning everything I could about sales. And the nicest part for me was learning that selling is really about personal development, growing on the inside. And so I started reading all the books, and I'm sure you've read many of the same books, the How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich and Psycho-Cybernetics and As a Man Thinketh and all these, and you grow, and the inside success manifests on the outside. But what you really have to learn is that selling is never about us. It's always about that person we're serving. And I think that's really where the go-giver comes into play, because, the basic premise is that shifting your focus, and this is really the key, shifting your focus from getting to giving. And when I say giving in this context, I simply mean constantly and consistently providing immense value to others. Understanding that doing so is not only a more pleasant way of conducting business, it's actually the most financially profitable way as well. Not for some, woo-woo, way out there reason, but for very practical, logical reasons. When you're that person who can move your focus off of yourself and focus on bringing immense value to others, making their lives better, helping solve their problems, helping them to, people feel good about you. People want to get to know you. They like you. They trust you. They want to be in relationship with you. And that's really why this kind of, way of looking at business, why it's very practical. After all, no one's going to buy from you because you need the money.
Mm.
Right? They're going to buy from you because they believe they will be better off by doing so than by not doing so. And that's good, because it means that salesperson, that entrepreneur, what have you, who understands that and will place their focus on bringing immense value to the other person, that's the person who creates the environment for that sale to take place.
Absolutely. There's lots of different sorts of methodologies when it comes to sales, and, a lot of people have different opinions and feelings around sales. And, when you've done it well, you realize it's not about you. It is about the other person. And it's, look, there's lots of different sorts of terminologies you can use, when you find someone's hot button, and find out what they really want as well as what they need, and to bring value to it. And when you're doing it with the right heart's attitude, the right intent, that's when the magic does happen. Yeah.
I think that's the key. And, you mentioned a couple very key words there about needing and wanting, desiring. And when you think about it, what is selling? By definition, it's simply discovering what the other person does want, need, or desire, and helping them to get it. It's interesting. One of the things that John David Mann, my wonderful co-author, he's a real wordsmith, and so he had looked up the meaning of selling, and we put this into one of the books in the series. The Old English root of the word sell was selan, which literally meant to give. So when you're selling, you're literally giving. Now, someone could say, well, isn't that just, wordplay? Isn't that just semantics? And I don't think so, because when you have a prospective customer in front of you and you're in the selling situation, I think you are giving. What are you giving them? You're giving them time, attention, counsel, education, empathy, and of course, ultimately, immense value. So when you're selling, you are giving. The fact that you are making a healthy profit as a result is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
It means both parties profit in the exchange.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is an exchange. It's, whether we give it a value as far as a monetary value, or whether it was prior to all of that, the bartering system, it's still about solving a problem, which entrepreneurs, that's all about, that's
right.
business, is solving a problem. And it's an exchange of goods of some sort. Whether we put a dollar value on it or whether we actually do a barter.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And a lot of people say, especially in business, I mean, we have to make sales in business. So it's not a bad thing. Sometimes It is, because it means that we've got choices, and we've got choices to pay it forward. That's my main ethos, is to pay it forward and to help impact other people's lives and communities and microeconomies. But some people say, oh, but isn't that got a selfishness or a little bit of evil in it? Well, no, because it means you can do good. Yeah. What would be your take on all of that?
Well, there are two aspects of why that's good. First of all, when someone buys from you, again, it's because you're giving them something that they want, that they desire. Okay. When you think about it, the money, that's why we say that money is simply an echo of value. Right? That's all it is. Money is an echo of value. It's the thunder, if you will, to value's lightning, which means nothing more than that the value must come first, right? And money you receive is simply a very natural result of that value. Now, why is this a good thing for you to make a profit? First, you've benefited that other person. That's, again, they're not buying for your sake, they're buying for their sake. So the very fact that you receive money, that you made a profit, it means you did something good for another person. Okay. But then it's also, when you have money, there's more things you can do to benefit others, directly and indirectly. You can certainly give more to charity and help the less fortunate when you have more money. I mean, that's just a fact of life. So when people think there's something evil about making money, now, of course, if someone uses fraud to make money, that's a different thing, but that's not selling. That's fraud.
Yeah. There is a difference.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good thing. But no, when you go about it honestly, because you have something that you found a way to solve a problem or provide some type of value or pleasure or whatever to the marketplace, absolutely. It's a wonderful thing. We encourage that.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what our community is based around. So, it's just a sort of I think, taking it from the bricks and mortar and on it being more virtual and online can be challenging for a lot of people. And a lot of people will say, well, I don't like sales and I'm not good at sales. Well, hold on, but if you've ever been able to solve someone's problem, or you've ever been able to talk passionately about your purpose and about what you do, that's selling information. And I think that
definitions. If you see selling as something you do to someone instead of for someone, then you're going to have trouble with that if you're a nice person, right? But if you see selling again as giving, as giving your time, attention, counsel, education, empathy, and value to others, you see selling a totally different way. I think what it is, Sonia, is it's not that people dislike selling. They dislike the idea of what they think selling is supposed to be. It's always a matter of defining our terms. And for those, we have one of the laws in the Go-Giver, because the 5 laws are the laws of value, compensation, influence, authenticity, and receptivity. The final one is receptivity. Now that comes last because it's always, again, the result of your focus, which is on giving value to others. But receptivity is very important, because all the giving in the world, all the giving of value in the world, it's wonderful. But unless you allow yourself to receive, you totally stop the flow of abundance.
That's right.
For everything. And and it's, it's sort of, and we use the example in the book, the mentor and the protege, he asked the protege to breathe out, but try to breathe out without also breathing in. Can't do it, right? In order to thrive, in order to survive, you can't just breathe out. You've got to breathe in. The tide ebbs and it flows. We breathe out carbon dioxide. We breathe in oxygen. We breathe out, which is receiving. We breathe in. We breathe out carbon dioxide, which is giving. We breathe in oxygen, which is receiving. Now, giving and receiving, despite what the world around us tells us, because how many messages do we receive from the world around us that money is an evil thing, and if you got wealthy, you did it on the backs of others or by doing stuff. Again, it's a big world.
Illegal things,
right. But mostly, especially if you work in a business where no one is forced to buy from you, the only way you can earn a great living is providing great value to a whole lot of people. So despite the message we get from others, Giving and receiving are not opposite concepts.
Mm,
Giving and receiving are simply two sides of the very same coin, and they work
mm,
in tandem. However, we know that we must give value first. We
mm,
must, because that's the way life works. We
mm,
sow before we reap. We have to plant the seeds and culture and cultivate and water and take care of and love and so forth. And it's the same with our prospects, our customers, and our clients. So, but as long as you've done the giving and you allow yourself to receive, you're fine. But again, because of the negative messages we get from the time we're born, whether it's a matter of upbringing, environment, schooling, news media, television shows, movies, where, and you know, my friend Randy Gage, who's a great speaker and thought leader in terms of prosperity thinking, you know, he talks about if you watch a movie, any of the big selling movies, notice next time there will always be two types of characters who are portrayed. There are the good people who are typically the ones who are struggling or they're poor or they're right. And but they're always being stepped on, stepped over, pushed on, pushed down, pushed around by who? The rich people who are always portrayed as evil and nasty and cowardly and they have no soul, right? And it's because that's just what sells.
it
But
sounds, yeah.
get those stories in your head, and then you know who are reported, who makes the news. Is it the great CEO or the wonderful entrepreneur who conducts their business so wonderfully and who everybody loves? No, it's the person who gets caught with, you know, doing the ripping off the public on some Ponzi scheme, or you know what have you. You know, in the States, we had, you know, Enron, and we had
Yes.
Tyco, and then we had the big bank that they were kind of forcing their salespeople to open false accounts, and oh, it was horrible. What a horrible thing to have happen. And of course, Volkswagen, they were caught. Remember, they're forging, they're falsifying their emissions testings.
Hmm.
That's what makes the news, saying corporate CEO treats people fairly. Salesperson does great job. That doesn't sell.
No,
That's not what
unfortunately.
so we need to question premises. And if you're
Mm,
an entrepreneur out there, okay, and you're having trouble in terms of the accepting money and
mm,
charging your worth instead of underpricing yourself and doing those things, ask yourself why that is. Because the chances are it's something unconscious that has been in the thought processes for, you know, most of your life. But it's okay, because if you consciously start studying prosperity, uh, you can get over that. You can get past that. And
mm,
so, you know, study Randy Gage, look up Randy Gage in his prosperity blog and his prosperity TV show, and so forth. And people like David Nagel and Bob Proctor and Ellen Rogan. And I'm sure in Australia, there are lots of wonderful prosperity speakers, and, you know, they're all over, but you've got to seek them out
yeah.
and really start retraining your brain for prosperity.
Absolutely, absolutely. And prosperity can be in so many different ways. I'm going to
Yes.
cough. I'm sorry, but you know,
Financial, yeah.
it can help us all so much. And this is what we need to do. We need to, particularly at the moment with this pandemic, we need to be able to band together, help each other out, help ourselves out, so then we can help each other out and help our communities out and help our countries out and
Mhm.
move forward, because we are in all of this together. And you know, I think that a lot of the messages in your book certainly do help that a great deal. I want to get back to, you said, and I love everything you just said too. Absolutely, it's gold. And I think some of those little phrases you said in there, I'm like, I'm going to rewind that and and put it up as a phrase on my wall. Oh, seriously, that's so good. But with you mentioned, you touched on the laws of your in your book. Oh gosh, now I'm having a blank here, but I do have it on the screen next to me. The 6.
The five laws.
The 5 laws, that's it. I've
Yeah.
got the 5 keys of legendary leadership, which I thought was lovely. But the 5 laws of stratospheric success. And I can tell that your co-author is a wordsmith
Oh,
because some of the words he's used are just beautiful. My mum really would have appreciated that.
funny. His mother was a teacher
Oh,
also.
really? Yeah. My mum
So
was too. Yeah. So yes, I miss her now. It's she's passed now, just a year and a half ago, and I often, even at
sorry.
late at night, oh thank you, late at night, I'd ring up and say, "Mum, what's a word for?" Da da da. She'd go, "Oh gosh, Sonia."
It's funny. So many of my so many things in terms of grammar, and my mom wasn't
Yes.
an English teacher, but she was very fastidious about that. So
Yes.
so she would correct me about when it was I or me, and she taught me the different rules, and that has always been so helpful.
Yeah.
Mothers are wonderful.
Ah, yes, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So your 5 laws, do you want to just cover that off a little bit for our listeners?
Sure. Well, and again, the laws are value, compensation, influence, authenticity, and receptivity. Value is all about giving that person such a wonderful, remarkable experience, not just with the product or service itself, which of course is so very important, but in the ways you make them feel good about themselves, in the ways you
Mm,
care about them. We say it's the 5 elements within the law of value are excellence, consistency, attention, empathy, and appreciation. And
mm,
all that adds to the overall value of the experience and what separates you from your competitors and makes you distinguishable in the marketplace. Uh,
mm,
Law of compensation talks about how many lives you touch, how many lives you impact. So it starts with the law of value, but we've also got to extend our reach to be able to serve and impact more and more people. The law of influence says that your influence is actually determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first, not in a doormatty or a martyrish or self-sacrificial way, but simply understanding that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to those people they know, like, and trust. Again, this is not some way out there type of thing. In fact, in his wonderful book, Give and Take, Professor Dr. Adam Grant cites an Australian study or a study of Australian financial advisors and what separated the ultra successful from the rest of them. And, there were certainly a lot of aspects. Financial acumen was important. They're financial advisors, but that's not what separated. There were a lot of ones who knew their finance and understood that. That wasn't the determining factor. Hard work, of course, but again, a lot of them worked hard. What separated the top of the successful financial advisors from their peers was that they placed the interest of their clients ahead of themselves and
mm,
ahead of their companies.
mm.
And as a result, they were also the most financially successful.
Yeah.
Law number 4, the law of authenticity says the most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. This just means you show up authentically. You show up as yourself. You don't try to be someone you're not. And law number 5, the law of receptivity, which we've sort of discussed, means that you allow yourself to receive. You
Mm.
breathe in as well as breathing out.
Mm, I love that. I love that because sometimes, depending on some of the ways that we might have been brought up, and I was certainly one of those. To receive was like, oh no no no, you just give, and you receive as no no no.
Right.
And it was always a bit difficult, and right up until probably in my 30s, really. And that's when I really had to stop and take stock because I was role modeling for my children and the future generations and my grandchildren, therefore. So I
Mhm.
was like, okay, well, really, I'm really shooting myself in my foot, really, here. So I need to practice this so that my children can do it and my grandchildren can do it. And this is about our future generations. We want our planet to be better. We want our economies to be better. Well, we need to start role modeling that now.
Yeah. You brought up an excellent point earlier because you said receptivity is in many areas. You know, when you think of it, sure, there's financial receptivity, but there's, aside from financial, there's physical, spiritual, mental, emotional,
Mm.
social, relational. Do we allow ourselves to receive the benefits in all those areas?
Yeah.
And, you know, and we do to the degree that we give in those areas and then allow ourselves to receive. And, you know, practice with the small things. It's when someone says, "Oh, you look nice today," instead of going, "Oh, no." We simply say, "Thank you." You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
someone, right, offers to buy the coffee or something. It's, "Oh, thank you so much." Even though at first it might feel a little, "Oh, I can't do that." You know,
Yeah.
sure you can, but we practice, and it's like building a muscle. You know, you don't start
Yep.
with the heaviest weights. You start with light weights, and you get
Yep.
you acclimated to it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then by doing that and being good at with that, you are able to serve your clients and your customers a whole lot better. And it's a round and round circle, really, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I really, really like your laws of stratospheric success. And in amongst those laws, you've got those elements. And oh gosh, so pivotal. I really, really implore people that are listening to really explore that and to really take stock and look at how are they using each of those elements, very much so with for themselves in their own worlds and their own lives, but also for their clients and for others, and how they can then role model that out. I think that's
Exactly.
really awesome. You know, when you were saying that, I was reflecting back on the various different people that I've done some trainings with and teaching, and as well as various paths that I've had prior to, and I'm like, sometimes we can be a bit slow learning, but we'll get there eventually. It's some fast. Your the keys to your legendary leadership. I also really liked that. I liked how you put it on the with your picture there, with the geese. I love the story about the geese and how they do, in nature, that leadership can, be shown up, so beautifully there. But perhaps do you want to just quickly go through that with the listeners?
Yeah, well, one is to hold the vision. You know, and with leadership, we often think, well, it begins with a vision, and it does. But anyone can have a vision. The challenge is holding the vision,
Yeah.
especially when things aren't where you want them to be. Right now is, you know, obviously a prime example of that. As a leader,
Mm.
others are looking to you for how you are framing this situation. And while leaders certainly don't deny the truth, they deal with the truth, they understand the truth, and they understand the problems associated with the truth. They don't focus on the problems, they focus on the solutions.
Mm.
But to do that, you've got to hold the vision of what you're looking for. So that's, um, that's just very important. The second is build your people, equip them, create the environment for their success. You know, we've all heard the saying that, good leaders develop other leaders.
Mm.
One of the ways we do that is by making it about them, not about us. Just like,
Mm.
when we talk about the go-giver, it's the same with the people we lead. Number three is to do the work. Don't ask people to do those things you're not willing to do. And when you have the experience doing that work, you're in a much better position to be able to lead because you've been there and you've done that. The next, number four, is to stand for something. And this is where character comes into play. Character comes from an old Greek word meaning scrape or scratch. It came to mean an engraved marking and eventually a defining quality. If one were to wax poetic, one could say character is what happens when life scratches or etches itself onto your soul.
Mm.
Uh, yeah. However, I'm not very poetic, so I just go with defining quality.
I think that's like, whoa, that's so cool.
John with that one, of course. Yeah, I would just go with defining quality. He would say life or scratches it.
Yeah.
But when you think of it, it's really the sum total of all one's qualities that makes up their defining quality or their
Mm.
character. And
Mm.
the thing is that when being led by or influenced by a person of character, we tend to know where they stand, and they
Yep.
tend to stand again for something. Now, that doesn't mean they don't make mistakes. They're human beings. Of course they do, and they're more likely to apologize than most. It doesn't mean they don't course correct. Absolutely they do. It also doesn't mean that they're not flexible in certain areas, such as when it comes to strategy. They're absolutely flexible on strategy. But when it comes to those values-based decisions, they are immutable, immovable, and unshakable. And that's one reason why we respect them. We respect their character. Again, we know where they stand, and we know they stand for something. And then the final one is to practice giving leadership. And when we say giving leadership, in this case, we mean that as both a noun and a verb. You're giving leadership to others, right? You're placing them in a position for them to lead so they can learn, so they can grow, right? And it's giving leadership is a type of leadership. It's the leadership that says, it's not about me. It's about those I'm leading. Right? And people can tell. And people can tell when you have their best interests at heart, and when you want them to grow, and when you see them as a valuable part of your team, not as just a cog, in a machine. And that's really what we're talking about there.
Absolutely. Look, and it all comes around how to be successful in business, how to stand out in the marketplace, how to be pivotal right now with the changes that are going on, and how to really step up and to be of service to others. But just to step up right now is where we need a lot of leadership with a lot of these changes, and with what a lot of people have gone through. So, and really it's captured a lot of the essences that is in your Go Giver series. So do you want to just run through those titles for people? Because that's where people can then go to, after they've listened to this, go to your website and go and check out your Go Giver series. So do you want to give them the titles?
The titles themselves are The Go Giver, Go Givers Sell More. Now, that's the only one that's not a parable. That one's a more of a manual after The Go Giver. Then the second parable, third book, but second parable, is The Go Giver Leader, which we were just referring to. And then the final one, and really both of our favorite, is The Go Giver Influencer. So if people would like to get a free chapter or excerpt to read first, they can just go to Burg, BURG.com, scroll down, and they'll see where they can do that. Or just if they'd like to sign up for the mailing list, they will actually receive a whole bunch of goodies that they can explore, and also will be notified when our new online course comes out called Endless Referrals, The Go Giver Way.
So when will that be coming out?
Hopefully within the next 5 weeks. We've been working on this for a long time. We've been calling it the never-ending project. It has taken much longer than
Sometimes it happens, especially at the moment, all those spanners that get thrown in the works. I like that, never-ending referrals for the never-ending project. People, it's not the never-ending project, it's called the never-ending referrals. I like that. So, and I suppose that'll be up on that website there, so they can just follow the links through to there. That's so lovely. Look, I really, really thank you very much for sharing. So many pearls of wisdoms and nuggets of gold there with us, and about the series and all of the essence that will help so many people. Is there any, before we do a quick sign off, is there any last minute things you might want to say?
Well, no, I just always love visiting with my lovely friends from the beautiful land down under. Everyone much success, and of course right now health and safety. And then to come out of this and really start to put things together.
Yes, and then I think we all want to do some travel, so eventually come down and enjoy the bit of the sunshine. So again, thank you very, very much, and I will pop up those URLs up on my website there. And yeah, look forward to seeing what some of the people's outcomes will be from those series. So thank you very much.
My
Bye
pleasure.
bye.